Good evening, Flosstube, and welcome to my 8th video. Just had to check how many there are, and I've had a bit of a oh, how did we get to 8 already? It's only been 6 months. My name is Laura, aka the Gin Stitcher, here on Flosstube and on Instagram. I'm coming to you from the UK, and I've just finished work. It is the 5th of January. It's been a couple of weeks for a couple of reasons. I did say anyway before Christmas that I might not make it back before Christmas because work was a little bit off the scale. I had some new starters to look after. Husband refused to leave the house, which was driving me batty because he likes to go out on a Tuesday and a Thursday normally, so I at least get one night off a week to myself. I like him, don't get me wrong, you know, we have a good relationship, but every girl likes a night off every now and then. And he didn't go out, so I couldn't film. We then went to Devon on the Thursday before Christmas, the 22nd of December, to spend the week with my side of the family and my sister in particular and my niece, whose birthday falls over Christmas. So we had a nice family Christmas and a nice first birthday party for my niece, which was lovely. It's about a 5.5 hour drive from my house to where we were staying near the south coast. So needless to say, that was quite a long day, and then obviously coming back and getting home at about 11 PM and coming straight back into work at 8 o'clock Thursday morning was a bit much. Finished work on Friday the 30th of December, and my husband came downstairs with a positive COVID test. Brilliant! Not the souvenir I wanted to bring back from Devon. Needless to say, there's no requirement in this country to quarantine anymore, but it's the right thing to do. We have vulnerable relatives, vulnerable friends. It's not fair to expose them to your germs. So, cue the world's quietest New Year. We stayed in for the whole weekend. I did log on to the 911 Stitchers video call for most of New Year's Eve and rang in the New Year with those ladies, which was lovely. He went to bed because I wasn't talking to him because he was contagious and infectious, and I'd moved into the spare bedroom because I don't want it. I've had it. I don't ever want to go there again. Back at work. It's now January. Life has resumed as normal. He's finally back at work and he's gone out tonight, so I can film, because he still has the faintest idea that this is going on. He certainly has no idea that there's actually nearly 400 people watching these videos with regularity, because I'm really shocked as well. I cannot say thank you enough, however, for those people who liked, commented, subscribed. Generally made me realise that actually it was worth doing, because I wasn't convinced at the beginning. Okay, mug of the day. It says, "Don't mess with Antisaurus. You'll get your Jurassic kicked." And then it's got my niece underneath as a velociraptor, which is brilliant. My husband bought me this for Christmas. Chin chin. There is only a tonic in here, there's no actual gin. I have to work again tomorrow. No drinking on a school night, as the saying goes. So, what have I stitched? There's a pile of stuff over here. Unfortunately, I feel a bit guilty because one of them's missing in action. But let's start with my pussycat. I apologise in advance for the number of threads hanging around on the front of this chart. I am having a go at parking. Mostly I'm making a nest. Aileen, you'll be really, really proud of my nest. So this is my pussycat. The reason it looks so untidy is, whilst as much as I'm having a go at parking, I do tend to try and stitch a thread to its end. I shoved it in the Q-snap so I could take it to Devon. I wasn't taking my big bars to Devon. So I've done a little bit. This is the top left-hand corner, top right-hand corner even, and this is the bottom right-hand corner. I was finding my diagonals go this way, so I was finding it a lot easier to work in this direction. And I'll probably get bored and go over to this corner and start working my way back this way as well. So I've actually done quite a bit on this while I was away. We're up to about 4%, and just under 4% now, which is about 3,800 stitches. Doesn't look it, does it? But hey ho, believe it or not, it's not just black. There is about 36 colours gone into that so far. You can just see the the lines of the fur just very starting to come out there. It won't be long now until we get into the confetti. This is starting to be the cat itself, so that's quite confetti heavy, even though there's only 37 colours in the whole design. The plan is still to get this finished this year. I want to be able to say in my lifetime, of the 500 head charts I own, I finished one of them. It might be the only one I ever finish, but I certainly don't want to start anymore until I've finished one, because they are a fairly serious undertaking. So that is an ongoing project. I'm using it for my Daily 30 challenge this year, which is around the world by the Olympics. I don't really get it, I just know that I have to stitch on it every day, take some pictures. But I really want to get that finished, and I do really have to stitch on it every day. So it was the logical choice for Daily 30. Okay, next one, without showing you the chart, because I've laminated this now because it was all getting a bit wrinkly, is this one. Silver Creek Samplers. It's called Follow Your Heart, and it says follow your heart but take your stitching with you. And it calls for some DMC and a week's dye works, but basically the whole thing is brown. And I was a bit like, not sure on this. I love the chart, I love the sentiment, not sure on the brown. So I had a raid through my Silks For You stash. I've just found some needles, that's a very good thing. I'll explain that in a minute. And I pulled out a Silk of the Month from goodness knows when, February 2022. And I pulled out these 4 colours. 1, 2. So there's a red, a gold. There is a brown. And then there's a variegated. So that was the colour palette I went with. To give you an idea of the called for, I did buy the called for weeks dye works, and it is literally brown. It's called Crisp Bonbon, and it really wasn't calling to me at all. So I went with those colours, and I took this one to Devon as well. I didn't get a huge amount done. Toddlers and silks tend not to go well together, but I did get a little bit more done. So the fabric for this one is a Jodrell Designs called Chinese Fighting Fish. It is a second. There's some dye spots on it somewhere. I did find them, but I'm not too bothered about it. They're red, so they don't stand out too much, and that's where I've got to so far. So this is the H. So over here is the word follow, and then your goes over here somewhere, and then heart is it's quite big. It's sort of going to be like that tall, the H. But yeah, I didn't get very much of that done at all on holiday. We barely. It's not very big. If I put a heart to it, I could get it done in a couple of evenings. And I probably will now we're back. And life has come back to normal. It's supposed to be a 32 count. It's Belfast linen. It's not stitching like a 32 count, it's stitching more like a 28 count, and I think that's what I'm struggling with a little bit. It's very loose weave, and I feel like my stitches are wandering across the fabric a little bit. I'm stitching it 2/2, and as I say, it won't take me very long. It's only about 70 by 70 once I get going. Okay, next one is a Christmas present from my husband. It's a Heritage Crafts, and I have to confess, started it. It's called Beach Huts from the By the Sea series from Heritage Crafts. Really strong colours, all DMC. They're always really bright, these. There's no hiding from this one. I've put it somewhere. It's gone. So I can tell you that I've started it. I can tell you that this formed one of my 12 starts of Christmas, along with that one, along with the Follow Your Heart. So that's 2, but I can't tell you what I've done with it. It'll be somewhere safe. At the moment, my house is just a war zone, and I don't really know why, but I can never find anything I'm looking for. And on that topic, I own about 300 needles. I think so anyway, it feels like it. Can I find any of them right now? No, none. I've got one left and it looks like a banana. So I ordered some from Amazon. I have Amazon Prime. I was like, they'll be here tomorrow. Drama over. Expected delivery date, 16th of January. That's a week on Monday. What am I supposed to do between now and then? Bearing in mind, for those of you in other places, my local needle workshop, for those in the UK, is in Wales. It's about a 3-hour drive from here. Okay, so that was 1 and 2 of my Christmas starts of Christmas. This is 1, 3, 4, 5 and 6 of my 12 starts of Christmas. And these are all from the Snow Village series, which everybody's seen, I think, before. Just looking for the headline chart. On here. So that's what they all look like. They're all on a theme. Lots of white, lots and lots and lots of white. And then they all have shops and stands and buildings and things like that in them for various things, selling snowballs and skates and whatnot. So I've made a start. I am stitching them all on one enormous piece of fabric. It's a full fat half. I won't need it all, but the plan is to cut them up and do them individually. So this is the first one so far. That's the beginnings of a snowman, and that's just the base of the stitching, and I've just made a start on the shop. Don't ask me which is which, I can't remember. I'm going to have to get all the charts out and try and work it out. This is the second one all the way along. We've got again some of the bottom, the door, and I've actually put some of the roof in and some of the labels. Third one along, again, actually got some colour in this one, bit of a door. I'm finding, these are classic Colourworks, I'm finding they're not as variegated as everybody's making out. I don't know whether it's the dye lots I've got or what. They're just not, I'm stitching them one stitch at a time. I'm doing it 2 individual strands to get the maximum variation, and they're not coming out particularly variegated. So I'm hoping the greens of the trees and things will look a little better. And then number 4, I've done such a lot of that one, haven't I? This is actually the main banner, so it's actually going to come out to about here when it's finished. This is the Snow Village banner. So 4 started out of 11 in total. So that's up to number 6 on my 12 starts of Christmas. I did say when I got conned into doing this year that the chances of me making 12 were pretty slim with everything else that was going on. But I don't think I've done too bad. 6, is that 6? Or is that 7? 6, I think. 6. I have to remember now. I've got my beach huts, follow your heart, 4 on there. Yeah, that's 6. Okay, number 7. This was New Year's Eve start. So whilst I'm still counting it towards my 12 starts of Christmas, we did actually start this on the 31st of December. And it's Mirabilia's Miss New Year's Eve Fairy. Right, this is really strange, okay? You and I are looking at this picture going, that dress is white. And all these ribbons and fancy stuff is a sort of silvery grey colour. Do we disagree? Do we agree? I think they're all white. And then she's got some beads on the dress as well, which are a sort of pale goldy colour. Well, I started unpacking this a couple of days before I was going to start it. So when I got back from holiday, basically. And I'm looking at it going, am I losing my marbles? What is going on here? Sorry for the crinkling. So that's the beads on the dress. They are Magnifica 10028. And they are a pale gold. Quite a white gold. Okay, we're on track so far. Then I looked at what colour her dress was supposed to be. And this is when I can't find it. I think I might have got rid of it. No, it's there. And it's classic Colourworks Frosted Sage. Frosted? Okay. Pale? Green? Okay, maybe, but really, really pale? Really? It's like lime green. Did I get a dodgy dye lot? I don't know. So the four of us had started this. Nadine from Nad's X Stitch, Charlotte from Stitching with the Kids Around, and our friend Aileen, who we're still working on getting a video out. And we all had basically the same colour. Nadine had gone one step further and pulled out her skin colour, and it was Barbie pink. Mine at least was not quite that wild. But it did remind me somewhat of a marshmallow colour, pink and white marshmallows, or maybe a candy cane with the stripes of pink and white. It's a very, very strong variegation between the pink and the white. Not really skin colour. So, I've already got two colours that are really not working for me. I'm like, what am I going to do? Where can I go to get replacement colours between now and here? Oh, my drawers. My drawers! So that's what I did. I made a start. Excuse me while I just saw all the threads out so it makes sense. I made a start, and the fabric I am using is one of this year's Advent fabrics from Drudgery Designs. It's a 32 count Opal Belfast linen in the colourway Urania. And it's blue. Couldn't really be any more blue. It's also really, really sparkly. So, I made a start, and there she is. She doesn't have any head yet. This is the main part of her dress, and what I did was I pulled out my silks. I've been collecting silks for you for about 4 years now, and I've never really got into, I was never quite brave enough to start substituting them out for things, and certainly not a wild variegation from what I thought was white to navy blue. So it is a navy blue. And you end up with a really narrow waistband up here. And then it calls for some edging on the dress. What looks like shading, not unreasonable, in these two colours. One is very definitely a blue, and one is very definitely quite a dark green. I suspect, well, it would have been fine if I'd used the original green for the dress. I did look it up on Instagram before I started, and there's definitely green. It's definitely that I haven't got the wrong colour. Everybody else's that's been done as called for is definitely very green. So, that was the called for colour for the edges. I tried it. I stitched in a length. It was awful. So, back to the silks. And I found a really, really, really dark purple. Variegated between purple and almost blue-black. And I thought, I wonder if that would work. So I pulled out a length, started stitching, and I decided I was going to reduce the variegation of it by folding it over and sort of having a bit of a dark and a bit of light. And I started stitching, and it was like in-your-face purple. Oh, it's a bit wild. So I'm not sure on this. And what it was I just picked the wrong length out of the skein. So I unpicked it all again. So third attempt now at some stitches that are 2 stitches wide. They are literally there. Found a length that was half reasonably bright and half dark. If I folded it over, you got a much more muted tone of purple. And I started stitching. I was like, oh, I like this. If I get it here, it's a bit in your face still. But when I put it over here on the wall, it's really subtle. And it gives the shading that I want. So that's what I did. And then the other thing that I did, so the only bit so far on here as called for is what's going to be the watch. This is a Weeks Dye Works around the edge and a Krynic 102 in the middle. And that is stitched exactly as called for so far. I'm thinking about bugle beads for the clock times and then stitching in the hands of the clock. So the top of the dress has some sparkle on it. I don't know if you can see that sparkling. It was supposed to be this colour. That wasn't going to work. Cue another rampage through the stash. My stash is not nearly as good as Nadine's, but I did find a Krynic. And again, it's a really, really dark blue. It's Krynic number 018HL. It's number 4. I hate Krynic. Give me Treasure Braid any day. Krynic. So that's gone in there. Down here, there's purple. There's also another Krynic, which is a dark silvery grey. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to go with this one and keep it the same, or whether I'm going to go with the silver grey. I'm just going to have to see what it looks like. I have started on the wings. The wings I am stitching so far exactly as called for, which is these 3 colours here. So that's the outside, that's the next to that, and then that's the very centre. So it slightly variegates in shades. What I am probably going to do, because let's face it, it's supposed to be New Year's Eve, it's supposed to be all bling, all sparkle. I may risk my life and limb and overstitch the top leg with 032 blending filament. Haven't quite decided yet, because I'm going to finish her wings before I do, and if I decide to do it, I'm literally just going to go backwards and forwards with it over the whole wing. So that is an option. For her skin, we got rid of the candy cane colour, and I've just been really boring and gone DMC 948. So she's pretty boring in that respect. But I'd lost a will to live by that point. I was like, this isn't going to be a Mirabilia by the time I finished it. It's going to look completely different. What I have done, this is a fat 1/8 of fabric, and she's over to one side. She's not as far over as she could be. There's a couple of inches, a good 3 or 4 inches of fabric tucked under the Q-snap. What I was thinking is putting another of the seasonal fairies here, and maybe sort of trying to join them together, but I haven't decided which one. I'm thinking Christmas, the Christmas elf fairy, or possibly the Thanksgiving fairy, as another sort of wintry themed fairy on a dark night, but I'm not completely sure yet. Okay, so now that's everywhere. I need to sort all this out, because otherwise I'll have no idea what's going on in about an hour's time. And I am quietly sat here wondering if my husband's actually gone out, because he goes straight from work. Whether he's going to reappear, excuse me one second. Whether he's going to reappear mid-filming, I'm just going to have to hang up on you and cut you off. But he hasn't so far, which is a good sign. He does finally understand after 10 years of marriage that I need time off. When we first got together and when we first got married, he worked shifts. And I worked shifts, so we both worked shifts. And so between us, we both got at least one night a week with the house to ourselves, or to be able to go and see girlfriends, or, you know, and do other things without the other one going, are you going to feed me? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? We could just have a chill time. You know, we're back to the fact that we don't have any children, so it was really nice to just be able to do grown-up stuff on my own. Okay, this is my New Year's Day start. Bella Filipina, Pearl of the Orient Seas. I'm not doing it on a fabric that colour. I am, however, stitching it as called for so far. My thought process is the only thing I've really changed in my head so far is I'm going to change some of the beads, I think, but more because I want to put actual pearls. Some of it calls for some white mill hills, which are supposed to be pearl-like, and they're lovely. There's nothing wrong with them. But I'm thinking, if she's supposed to be a pearl mermaid, I want to do them. I want to stitch some pearls into the design. So I'm just currently trying to shop for pearls that I might actually like. Okay, so the fabric of choice for this one was a fabric called Apricot Sunset. What is wrong? You can tell I've been at work all day. Apricot Sunset from the Crafty Kitten. Don't ask me for a link. She doesn't die anymore. Big scandal. I got this on the secondary market from a friend, I think, rather than on Facebook Marketplace. It's 28 count. It's even weave. So it's not particularly dark. Contrary to my normal stitching and fabric choices, this one is actually pretty mousy. So that is all hair. She is going to be a big girl. I measured the fabric. I reckon I have about 1 3/4 inches top and bottom. So she's going to be a tight fit. So it's mostly a pale blue. That's actually pretty true to form, and it's got these patches of a dusky pink on. You know, I do complain about my collection of pink fabric. It's quite large. I don't really stitch on it very often, so this is getting out of my comfort zone, but I actually quite liked it. I've been to Thailand, and you do get these beautiful pink sunsets, so I thought, why not? So that is her. She's not very far on. I've only really stitched on her for 1 day, and true to form with a new start, I started up here, toddled all the way down here, and then realised I'd missed a row out here, and so all this has been back and been put back in again. So I have done a bit more than it looks. It's upside down. No, it can't be. No, it's not upside down. I've not got enough fabric to turn it upside down. So yeah, so this bottom section has all been unpicked and put back in again up to about there. So I did that, and then I put it away again for a bit because I want to get New Year's Eve Fairy finished. Ideally, I want to get that one finished before we go on retreat in March. And definitely before we go to the Mirabilia retreat in April. I want to actually have a Mirabilia to put on the table, because I genuinely wasn't expecting to have one. Because my only other Mirabilia whip is Mermaid Undine, and she's not going to be finished by Easter. Not a prayer. Still haven't found the other one that's missing, my beach huts, and I was expecting it to be in one of these bags, but it clearly isn't. So I'm not going to worry about it. I've only just started it. I've only gone along the top line. We'll just have to wait and see. It'll appear at some point. Okay, haul. Quick swig. How do we get to 27 minutes? Okay. Another gift from my husband. A light. I won't turn it on because you'll all get blinded. But you hang it around your neck and you point it at your work. I don't really use it so much at home. It's mainly for retreats. It's going to be for retreats, and also for when I'm flying. I always take my stitching when I'm flying, and have managed to turn it on. Trying to put it back in the box. So I always take my stitching when I'm flying, and when we go to Italy in May, it's an evening flight, so I need to be able to stitch on a plane in semi-darkness. Cue lamp. I got it from Amazon. It happened to be on sale. It was about half price at the time, so it was only about £16 or £17, and it came fairly quickly, unlike my needles. Okay, where did we get to? I'll do my advents in a minute. I think I've got most of them. If I haven't, it's too late now. These are from my sister. So they were my birthday present for, get this, last year. By last year I mean 2021. My birthday's in December. In December 2021 I was over in Canada, and we were waiting somewhat impatiently for her to pop, quite frankly. She was very rude. She went a full week over, but hey ho. And she'd ordered these for me from a store in Florida on Etsy, and she thought, hey, Florida to Alberta, I've ordered them in October, they'll definitely be here by her birthday at the beginning of December. No. Check the tracking. Where were they? Greece. Yeah, you heard me right. Greece, as in Europe. Like, okay, I'm on this side of the pond, my birthday present's on the other side of the pond. Marvellous. Anyway, she contacted the seller. The seller actually was very good and gave her a refund on the basis that they were lost, and she claimed it against her insurance on the US Postal Service. And I said to my sister, so she said, what shall I get you instead? She bought me a bottle of gin, by the way, from the Canmore distillery. which is very nice. But needless to say, I said, don't worry about it, because at some point they will turn up. I flew home to the UK on the 27th of January 2022. Her parcel arrived on the 3rd of February. So I got the first one. She said, what do you want me to do with them? Do you want me to ship them to England? I said, no. They've been in the post for 5 months already. Let's just leave it. So she held on to them for a year and brought them with her. And they're from Fabi Riley Designs. And the first one is called the Peacock Needle Book. And it looks like that, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. It calls for a 32 count fabric flare in the name of Blue Mist or Summer Sky, but I will probably use something out of stash. And then everything else is DMC. So that's not bad, is it? It does seem to call for some sequins, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. We might swap them out for crystals yet. And then she also got me, on the same vein, Peacock Scissor Case, which looks like that. I like the fact that some of the pictures show it unfolded, so what it looks like before you fold it into the scissor keep. And then the last one she got me, also peacocks, was a Biscornu. All from the same designer, all from Fabi Riley, and they're lovely. And as I say, they all call for DMC. They don't call for anything particularly technical. And this one is 4.5 inches square if you stitch it on 32 count. So we're not talking enormous things here. So that was lovely. So that was my husband's presents, my sister's presents. Nobody else got me stitchy stuff. That was okay. Nobody got me any gin either. But there we go. Okay. Oh, what I bought with my Christmas money. It jingles. I may have spent a small fortune on Mill Hill treasures. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, you know what? I can't even be bothered. There's all sorts. There's flowers, there's leaves, there's starfish, there's hearts, there's little cornichons. You name it, it's in here. I just bought a whole pile of stuff. Don't get me wrong, they're all called for in something. But I have a spreadsheet and I'm just working my way down it. And if we jump to plans just briefly, increasing the number of these is in the plan this year. I'm less fussed about buying charts. Don't get me wrong, if I fall in love with something, I'm going to buy it. But I also know that the chances of it going out of stock instantly are fairly low. So I'm going to tend to concentrate on things like limited editions and stuff like that. I would like to increase my collection of Mill Hill treasures and Mill Hill weeds, in particular things like the ones that are hard to find at the minute. The no, I can't remember. Those ones that are. But my problem is the treasures. The treasures go out of production really regularly, and I want to be able to stitch these mirabilias for the next 20 or 30 years. So that's my goal for this year, is to start thinking about things like treasures, beads to a point, but mostly the treasures, and also things like the water lilies. And if I'm going to buy any more silks, I'm going to concentrate on Glorianas and silken colours thread gatherers. Again, the ones that go out of production are the ones that are hard to find, to try and sort of build up my stash on that side before I fall into any more sodding rabbit holes like Avoyer Soir and MPI. I mean, I've already fallen down the MPI rabbit hole, but I'm trying to resist just buying them for the sake of putting them in stash, because they tend not to go out of production in the same way as some of these others are becoming very difficult to find. I do tend to buy a lot of it from the US. The basic tactic is to keep the order under a certain size, so it doesn't become obvious to customs that you've shopped a lot. I also send stuff back the other way. Obviously my sister is abroad, and what I end up doing often is sending things like I'm sending educational toys over there that she can't get over here. Okay, so I'm not going to do these in any particular order, I'm afraid. I've reached the point where, quite frankly, they all just need to be put away. So First one. This is a Silks for You. Again, the theme on this was very, very summery, very floral, and the carnival theme continued all the way through all the Advent days. So that is literally a day glow orange. Will I use it? I don't know. It's only a quarter of a hank, sorry. I'm not sure really what that's going to be good for. Flowers, yes. Sunshine, possibly. Samplers, no. Long dogs, definitely not. There's not enough there. I also got some cute little needle minders. These are from Mo's sale. They are, I've got little stockings on, so they were quite adorable. And they're just badge style, so they're not particularly technical. And then we got some nice beeswax. I do use beeswax thread conditioner. My only problem with this one, same as everything I've had from Mo actually, is it smells of cigarette smoke. And that has spoiled it a little bit. I may have to leave it open or put something in it with a bit of scent. Okay. So the fabric, unfortunately, was pink. It's okay. It's not in your face pink. It's an orangey pink. It's a sort of peachy pink colour, and it's called Melpomene. It says it's ice dyed, but it's not as mottled as I would normally expect from an ice dye. And then the thread is actually more orange than the fabric. All of these are opal linen, 32 count, and they're all, with the exception of the one from Christmas Eve, they're all an eighth. Because I wasn't willing to risk anything bigger, because some of last year's fabrics were not that good, and I thought I was willing to give it one more go, but I won't be doing it next year. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so from Sarah Marnie at Marnie's Picks Bag, we got Classic Colourworks Jolly Holly. This is called for in quite a lot of Country Cottage Needleworks charts, so that was good. And then some bits of ribbon from Patchwork Rabbit in various colours for finishing things and whatnot. Again, it's just stuff I just have to put away sometimes. It's lovely and it's a nice idea, but there's not really enough of it to say, oh, I'll make a little stash of stuff. Okay, so next one, again, Silks for You. You can kind of see what I mean here by these carnival colours. That is really bright. This is almost high visibility orange in real life, and this is a sort of mucky yellow. It's kind of boggy yellow. It's not particularly bright, and then this is lovely. This cerise type colour. But again, these are just, I think these are 10 metre skeins. Yeah. So there's a limit to how useful these are. They're good for substituting out, but they're not great for other things. And then Weeks Dye Works Candy Apple, really, really red. It reminds me of the apple from Snow White, like the in-your-face red. And then from Sarah Marnie, Gentle Art Bluebell, which is a pale blue. So that's that one. Just slowly getting rid of stuff now, I think. Let's say tomorrow's job now is to put all this stuff away and actually put it into its safe storage in drawers and whatnot, where I keep things so they don't fade. Okay, so next one. Patchwork Rabbit was a chart called Merry Rabbits. In all seriousness, I'm not going to stitch this. It's not my thing. It only calls for DMC, so it's fairly easy to kit up. It's not very big. It's 57 by 57. I might stitch it, I might not. It's just a bit odd. And that was my immediate reaction on the day. So from Mo, we got some cute scissors. They've got sort of a pattern on the handle. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of engraved on the handles. They're silver. They're very, very sharp points. So that's good. They go in my scissor holder. My aim eventually is to have a piece of pair of scissors and a pack of needles in every project. It's probably a little optimistic as we're now heading towards 40 whips or something like that. Ceremonies, classic colourworks again, really tealy, so a nice blue, again called for in some country cottage needleworks. If it hadn't been for the fact that everyone's was the same, I would have said she knows what I've been buying. And then from Silks For You, some ribbon. I don't mind the ribbon's lovely. The issue is it's pink. More pink! And again, there's not really enough of it there to be able to do anything with it. I'm not going to be able to trim a whole set of things. Okay. So, next one, Silks For You, on a theme, more scissors. These are fairly chunky scissors. They're from Nuo, whoever that is. And it just says European classical scissors. Again, they've got a really, really, really tight point at the top. And they're really quite heavy. They've got birds on up there and down there, lovebirds down there. So that's quite cute. And then Mo's was some counting pins, which again, quite cute. It means I need to stitch the biscogne, that's what that means. Actually be able to put them somewhere. And then from Patchwork Rabbit, another chart. I'll just wave it in the general direction of the camera. And it's from Mama Love You GB, and it's called Flights of Angels, and it says, May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. I'm waving it backwards and forwards. It's got some crowns on the bottom, a nice border around the outside. It's pretty small, what, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, about 65 by 100 maybe. It's about bigger than I thought. It's not very densely stitched. Again, not necessarily my thing. If you want it, I'll send it to you. Ceremonies was wild. It's called Lemon Drops, and it is like Dayglow Yellow. Not quite high vis, very, 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 very lemony. And then my fabric from Jodrey Designs was called Utopia. It was green. I quite like that. That was a nice green. And the matching threads, which are in the bottom still. So they're sort of minty green. So they were quite nice. Last year when we did this, we started with a couple of lovely pieces of fabric, and then the last 3 or 4 were all pink, and we were just like, oh my god, I've got enough pink fabric to last a lifetime. It was mildly entertaining at the retreats for the rest of the year though, because all this fabric kept appearing in raffles. And you feel really guilty doing that because you've spent a lot of money on it. But when you seriously know you're never going to stitch on it, give it away. We weren't sure anyone was going to buy it. Okay, so next one from Mo was some buttons, a piece of lace ribbon thing, and a tape measure. So again, finishing stuff. I will say it reminded me of my mother's sewing box. I opened that. There is a cute key in there. There's a couple of little keys with hearts on the top. That was quite cute. But it is what it is. As I say, I don't think I'll be doing that one again. I paid $121 US dollars for that advent, and I really wasn't overly bothered by it. Okay, Ceremonies was called Lancaster Red, and that's a beautiful, beautiful deep red. Especially if you compare it to the colour of the wrapping that it was in, so you can see how dark and sort of burgundy it is. Really like that. Not particularly variegated. And then the Silks For You. I'll be honest, I'm not completely sure which of these you've seen before. So if you're seeing things the second time, I apologise. And that's only because I was so fraught before my holiday that I didn't get a chance to put stuff away. A couple of little needle minders again from Silks For You. You can probably see some of my needle minders They go all the way up there, all the way across the ceiling, and all the way back down again. And then there's a load more downstairs on my trolley thing. So I've got far more needle minders than I could ever possibly use in a lifetime. But hey ho, who cares? It'll keep the girls entertained when I pop my clogs. And then Weeks Dye Works whitewash from Patchwork Rabbit. And that is, mine is, yeah, it has got the yellow in it. At first glance I didn't think it did, but it's definitely got a hint of yellow. It's not overly strong in my copy. And then, look at this. That is mermaid fabric. So I need to find a mermaid that fits on a 16th. There's only one thing going on that fabric. And then the silks that are in the back. Again, on a theme. I love it. I want another piece. I want a yard. Take my money. Why do you dye pink fabric when you can produce something that looks like that? Okay, where did I get to? Okay, Patchwork Rabbit this time was a label from Cottage Garden Threads in Australia. Again, nice blue. I'll be honest, none of these threads, there's been no obvious Christmassy theme running through this year. A lot of them have just been, it almost feels like some of them have been what we've got in stash, let's get rid of it. And then from Sarah Marnie, a purple called Blooming Crocus. So they were lovely. I don't feel like I've been ripped off, which perhaps is the most important thing. I definitely had value for money from Patchwork Rabbit and from Sarah Marnie. But I still don't think I'm going to do them again next year. When I totted up how much I'd spent on Jodrey, Silks for You, Patchwork Rabbit, Sarah Marnie and Mo's Sale, bearing in mind Jodrey's was about £180. So what's that, $220, $230? I just felt I could do something myself for a lot. The amount of money I spent, I totted it up and it came close to £600. And don't get me wrong, that was spread out over the whole year. But I thought if I spend £600 on myself for an advent, I could have a Gloriana every day, some Mill Hills every day, a piece of fabric every day, and it's all what I want. That's what I got from Mo's. A purple and a brown. These ones have actually got numbers on. That was one of my frustrations with hers earlier on, was none of the skeins had colour codes on. I was like, I have no idea what this is. Not helpful. And it smelled. I can't get over the fact that she's selling a product for $121 that smells. Nino. Nino. Nino, Nino, Nino. Oh my god! Hang on a minute. I now have a high-vis vest. Not buying that one again. It's called Cosmic if anybody really loves it. And then from Silks for You we got a mandala. This is more my thing. It does come with the silks that it calls for in the design that she's done. I love this colour. This is fab. I would probably stitch it in something else, but I get where she's going. No idea how big it is because I haven't opened it to see. 10, 20, probably about 70 stitches across. Oh, 81, it says 81 stitches square. So actually you could do that. If you did it on like a 40 count, it would be, you could do it twice and turn it into a biscogne. So yeah, I get it. I like it, just maybe not in pink. Right, we're getting there. We're getting there. And we haven't made it to an hour yet. This is a positive thing. Because I'm hungry. And so is the cat. I don't know if you've heard the cat. I can hear him. He's over there. Singing. Feed me, feed me. I know you've finished work. You should be feeding me. This one I love. Doesn't have a name. that's my biggest frustration. Half the silks don't have names on. I don't know whether she's made a mistake, because some do. Look who's appeared. But this is a beautiful, beautiful emerald green, and it's a full, what she calls a full hank. It's 100 yards of silk. So actually you could do a long dog with that, and I'm like, yeah. This made it worth it. Say hello. That's my leg you're attacking. Yeah, he's hungry. In his defence, I think it's after 6 o'clock now, UK time, and therefore it's tea time. Okay, sit down there. So, we are getting to the end now, I promise. I promise! Okay, so Patchwork Rabbit sent some thread winders. They're like, no, it says blackbirds. Okay, fair enough. But they're mother of pearl. Not completely sure what I might do with them. The logical thing is to use them as decoration, not to put threads on them. They're a little bit too delicate for that, you know. It doesn't take much to shatter them. But they're very pretty. And then from Sarah Marnie, we got something a little bit like wild. It's called Blackberry. And that is actually, it's easily the most variegated thread I've had out of her selection this year. It's a pink and a purple, and actually for someone who doesn't like pink, this is out there. It's rocking it, and I want like 6 more skeins so I can do something with it. Okay, silks for you again. A little scissor fob. Again, this is probably the most Christmassy thing they've sent, because it's red and green. Still got a flower on the bottom. But look at that, isn't that cute? And it's my kind of size. I don't like my scissor fobs to be a foot long. And that's only about 3 inches, 4 inches, something like that. So that was pretty good. And of course I've conveniently got some scissors that I've opened the day before to put them on. Okay, fabric from Jodrell. This one's called Cleo. Brown. I can do brown. It's more dark than a normal, what I'd call a sampler brown. It's definitely almost tea coffee even. But I actually quite like that. It's not wild. Okay. Last but not least, Christmas Eve. So obviously Christmas Eve is always the big present, if you like. So from Jodrell I actually got a quarter. Last fabric of the set was a full quarter. So this retails at about £25 a quarter, I think. So that's, and it's called, I don't know where she's made these words up from, Polyhymnia. And it is purple. Really, really purple. And I adore it. And now I'm looking at my Heiress of Atlantis and going, maybe we can put it on here instead. It's big enough. I haven't started that yet. I wasn't psychologically prepared for what needs to be done to try and put 2 giant mermaids on 1 fat quarter. It's going to involve basically cutting up. I've made working copies, so I'm not cutting up the originals, don't panic. It's taking hold of the 2 working copies that I've made and cutting them up to then relay them onto some graph paper to try and come up with some sort of pattern that works. And the last item on my enormous pile of haul is the most royal purple hank of silk. I'm not sure quite what happened to it. It looks like it's been through the ringer a little bit. What I actually need to do is get it on one of those yarn whirligigs so I can turn it into a ball instead of the rat's nest it currently is. But look at that. It is not washing out. It is not. It is purple, all the way to purple, and I love it. I'm thinking death by cross stitch. You know, just because we need another whip in our lives. Death by cross stitch. Tell me if you disagree. If you love it, I already have the chart. We'll do it. I'd have to work it out and see what size fabric I need. My pandemic is 1/1 on 28 count. I don't want, and I'll probably do the same if I was going to do Death by cross stitch. Okay, that's it for haul or collection or stash enhancement, whatever you want to call it. I actually quite like calling it stash enhancement or collection. It's pretty rare nowadays for me to have that much stuff in one go. Everything seems to be getting very, very expensive. I'd noticed that Glorianas, although they're hard to find and something of an endangered species as a rule at the minute, I noticed they'd gone up significantly on the 123 Stitch website from $7.49 I think to $8.99 a skein, which coupled with a really bad exchange rate makes them really quite expensive at the minute. I have shopped. I spent my Christmas money on 3 dimension stockings. They're on their way. Don't ask me what they are, I can't remember. It was a week ago when I ordered them. So they have been shipped. I got notification this morning that they've been shipped, so that's a positive. They'll probably be here towards the end of the month, because customs in the UK is still taking ages due to the ongoing Royal Mail strikes, and there are more this month. The plan is to buy some more treasures each month. How much, I don't know yet. Just work my way down my list slowly. If something's not in stock, I'll just move on to the next one on the list. I'm not that precious about which ones I get, which ones I don't get at this stage. The only thing I'm perhaps going to change is this one I bought. There's like some of these are six boxes of the same treasure, because that's what my spreadsheet says that I need for all the charts that I've got. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to carry on buying all the ones I need or just 1 or 2. Build up the collection so I've got more variety, but not everything I need for every kit. And on the basis that once I know what they look like in real life, I can start thinking about substitutions. There's a fabulous bead shop about 3 hours from me called Spellbound Beads, and another one about 5 hours from me called the Southampton Bead Company. Whilst they're a long way away, I have friends that conveniently live local. Stitching Poppy, who's just put a video out for the first time in ages. She's literally lives around the corner from the Southampton Bead Company, so she's promised me a bed if I want to go and have a road trip down there for the weekend. It is a weekend trip, can't just go for the day, it's too far. And obviously the other one is near where our friend Aileen lives, and we tend to, if we go and visit her, we make a point of going to visit the bead shop and spend a small fortune. But they have lots of Delicas and Mill Hills, but they also have other types of glass beads in lots of different shapes, like leaves and hearts and cubes and stuff like that. And so you can look at them and go, actually that's really pretty for that and the other. I got some drops for Bellatrix from Spellbound that are a lot more curved. They're a little more like teardrops than they're called for on Bellatrix, which is a faceted drop. And whilst I've got the faceted drops, because I got the full kit, I actually prefer the ones I've bought separately. They're similar colour, they're still in the red, but they're just a lot smoother and I quite like them. And I've bought more as well, so instead of only having 3 and having to put them where they're called for, I've got about a dozen, I think. So I can put more on if I want and make it even more blingy than it already is going to be. Where did we get to? I think that is everything. I'm going to try and keep some sort of journal this year of what I've started, what I've finished, because the truth is I don't keep any records, and it probably won't last because I'm terrible at journaling and terrible at keeping a diary. My diary has my work shifts in it and weekends away and things like that, and that's about it. But I'm trying so far. Cue the major drama of waiting for all my needles to arrive from Amazon. even though I know there are at least 3 dozen needles in this room, probably still in their packets, and I can't find any of them. I'm not a happy bunny. Okay, I genuinely think I'm done. That wasn't too bad, was it? Plans for the stitching, that's the last thing, I suppose. I want to finish my pussycat this year, my Haid, and realistically the deadline is October to have any chance of getting it framed to gift it for Christmas. And that includes if I frame it myself, which is very possible, because it's only square and it's only going to be that big. It's not going to be huge, because I'm stitching out on 32 count. And then the other one is the advent calendar that I'm making for my sister, for the Jareen Jones. There's 24 little motifs, and I've done 3 Mill Hill buttons and beads kits to make it sparkly. Still haven't quite worked out how I'm going to lay out all the bags. I know I said in one of the original videos that I was going to do bunting, and I may still do that, but I keep seeing other things on other videos, not just cross stitch videos, but other crafting videos that are like, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. Someone's got one where they've turned it into a big wall hanging of individual bags, so you can see the wall behind it, but each bag is like joined to another. But then I like, how would I fit all the Mill Hills in and amongst it? I'd have to think about it a little bit. So that realistically needs to be finished by August, so that I've got a fighting chance of turning it into something and shipping it by October, if not earlier, if I can ship it by the end of September, so that it's got 8 weeks. The last time I sent something to my sister as a parcel, it took 8 weeks to get there, and that was only this summer. So God only knows what's happening with the postage. The only possible advantage of this one is it won't squish down to an envelope, but it would fit in her little post box at the end of the street. I never quite got my hang around that when I was there for 3 months. I was like, why do we have to go to the end of the street for the mail? Why don't they put it through the door? Hey ho. It gave me an excuse to go out every day. But some days you're looking at minus 35. I'm not going out there even to collect the post and go jump. That's it, I think. I think we might be done. Look after yourself. Have the best day that you can have. And I will see you all soon. We'll probably get back onto the monthly schedule now. And again, probably doing it at the weekends. I don't know. The railway where hubby and I volunteer is currently closed for the next 3 months for some major structural work, so he's not going to be firing or driving for that matter. So whether he'll be out and about on a Sunday morning, I don't know, allowing me to film. So sometimes it may be on a Thursday night if he's gone out, sometimes it might be on a weekend if he's gone out. I do intend to keep it from him for as long as possible. If he finds out by accident, then we'll see what he says. But I'm curious what he's going to say. I'm not going to deny that. People have talked about it on Instagram, the fact that I have a video. People have talked about it when I've been on video calls, and he hasn't twigged. So either he's being deliberately dim, or he genuinely has no idea and has no inclination to think that I might want to sit and talk to myself for an hour every couple of weeks. But hey ho. Don't be sad. You're literally, if you see the pussycat and you see my advent progressing, we're having a good year. If you see anything else, that's a really big bonus. Will there be new starts? Quite probably. Got Charlotte's birthday, Nadine's birthday, Aileen's birthday, my birthday, summer holiday new start. My sister telling me she's pregnant again in about 6 months, new start. What else? Nobody's got a big birthday coming up, so we don't have that problem. We're going to Sharice's Yorkshire retreat, Mirabilia retreat, Chatelaine retreat. We're going to Italy for a week. We're going to one near Nottingham in November. We're going to a second Yorkshire retreat in October. So that's 8 retreats. So that's 8 new starts. You know what? I don't care. I don't care. It makes me happy. Love to you all. See you soon.